Despite swimming in controversies leading up to its release, the Switch 2 launch has been a huge success for Nintendo. It sold over 3.5 million units worldwide in just 4 days, and it is my strong belief that this generation will be a huge win for Nintendo. The question isn't will it succeed, it is how much, and just what will happen to Nintendo's future when it comes to its console business and its many expansions into other mediums. Let's get into it. Let's start with the biggest elephant in the room, the pricing controversy. It's still very relevant, and it's the main factor that will determine just how many units of Switch 2 will be sold this generation, and how big the gap will be between the sales of Switch 1 and the Switch 2. Because it is very unlikely that the Switch 2 will sell as well as the Switch 1, not with that $450 price tag. And let's be real, it's too close to the price of its competitors, both of which are way more powerful. So for many people, it's just too much money for a handheld console hybrid that in many ways is comparable to a last generation PlayStation 4 with its specs. And the handheld console hybrid scene is growing. Xbox is entering the scene with its handheld from Asus, and rumor has it Sony will also eventually return to the handheld scene. Steam Decks continue to sell more and more, so yeah, it's more competitive now, and that will slowly but surely eat into Nintendo's hybrid handheld market since they aren't the only ones anymore. Some people are being very doom and gloom and they think that the Switch 2 will be another Wii U. As we all know, the Wii was a big success, selling over 100 million units, but its successor, the Wii U, only sold 13.56 million units. But here's a fun detail, the Wii U had a good launch. It sold almost 900,000 units in 6 weeks, so not bad at all. But despite the strong start, its momentum was completely lost, it never returned, and it would not have any legs at all, and it was replaced by the Switch in just 4 years and a half. The Nintendo Switch, however, lasted over 8 years and has now sold over 150 million units. Wow. Some people think that the Switch 2 will be just that. A device that starts off well, but dies off eventually and ends up being a huge disappointment compared to its predecessor. Just like Wii U. I personally don't believe that at all, because Nintendo's in a very different place now. The Switch 1 brought back many lapsed gamers, and it has brought in many new people into the mix, and it's a nice mix of hardcore gamers and more casual consumers, and kids too. But, as I said earlier, many people will sadly be priced out of this device, both due to its console price and also the higher cost of games. Some can go as high as $80, like Mario Kart World. But that won't be everyone. Plenty consumers are very hardcore and won't want to miss out on the games of this generation, so they're gonna buy it, sooner or later, one way or another. By the way, I'm one of those people who's being priced out at the moment. I cannot afford a $450 console, and in reality, it's actually more than that, because you need to add the tax, the Pro controller, and a handful of games like Mario Kart and eventually Donkey Kong Bananza. But I do eventually plan on joining the fun. It's gonna be a slow process saving up for this, but I'm gonna do it, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who is slowly adding to a piggy bank so they can eventually get their hands on a Switch 2 when the time is right. The controversies go beyond just the price of the console and the games. There's also the situation with Nintendo being able to break your console from afar if you break the terms of use. I actually made a whole video about that like a month ago, and I criticized this tactic by Nintendo. It essentially means we really don't own our consoles and our handhelds anymore if these companies can destroy them from afar. But even with that said, it's not really something most consumers will care about. Many won't be aware of this at all. And I doubt a huge percentage of the fanbase is modding their devices and hacking them. So most Switch 1 and Switch 2 owners will never put themselves in a situation where their console will be bricked by Nintendo, which is why I don't think that this and other smaller controversies will affect their sales much. It's the high price that will affect them the most, and the competition. But I still stand with what I said in my previous video. I still believe this is an overzealous move by Nintendo. And yes, I understand that companies need to protect their IPs, and obviously they don't want people pirating their games. But I think bricking people's consoles is a step too far, and it makes them look like a bully. We also need to keep in mind that Nintendo has expanded into other mediums during the Switch 1 generation. We got a big budget animated Super Mario Bros. Movie from Universal and Illumination, and it made over $1 billion at the box office. And more movies are being produced, like a sequel to Mario and a live-action Zelda movie. And I have no doubt shows will be made eventually too. And we also got the theme park from Universal. I went to the one in California and I had a ton of fun, and the Mario Kart ride was cool. And it was also fun just walking around and taking in all the sights and taking pictures, and video too. And the ones in Florida and Japan are even bigger and better. If I enjoyed the one in LA that much, imagine how much fun I would have in the one in Japan or Florida where there's more rides and even a Donkey Kong area. All these expansions into movies, theme parks, and more aggressive merchandising and licensing deals is expanding their consumer base. More and more people are being exposed to Nintendo's brand, and while not everyone who watches a movie or goes to a park will buy a Switch 2, plenty will. Think about it, imagine you were a kid right now, and you go to see one of the Mario movies, and then you go to the theme park during the summer or Christmas. Don't you think at some point you might go, I want to play some Nintendo games featuring those characters I just saw? And guess what? The only way to play Nintendo games is on Nintendo devices. The hardcore games anyway, because yeah, there are some casual and small games on mobile, like Mario Run and Mario Kart Tour, but the core games are on Switch 1, and going forward on Switch 2. And Nintendo doesn't put their games on PC, much less on competitor devices like the Xbox does. And even Sony is dabbling in this now, because they put their games on Steam. But not Nintendo. They will be the last ones to enter the realm of being a third-party publisher who still makes consoles. They clearly only want their games on their devices, and they will stick to that for a very long time. But I have no doubt that eventually they'll have no choice but to follow what Sony and Xbox is doing, and put their games on other platforms, at least on PC. It is inevitable. The industry is changing, and the console market is shrinking as games go to many other devices like PC, Mac, Linux, the cloud, and mobile phones. And Nintendo will need to adapt with the industry and its evolution, but that's many years away for Nintendo. Not during this generation, and probably not even the next one either. So for now, if you want the next Mario game or the next Zelda game, you need a Switch 2. So despite the higher cost, I believe many people will save up and eventually pony up. As expensive as the Switch 2 is, it's not a special case, it's not an outlier. Gaming in general is sadly getting more expensive. The PS5 Pro is over $600. Many high-end handhelds are very expensive, and gaming PCs are expensive too. Nintendo isn't unique or special in this regard. I think it is a shock to the system to see them go this expensive because they've always been the affordable one. But there was no way they could do a $300 machine this generation. Did it have to be $450 though? Probably not. It probably is overpriced, to X or Y degree. I certainly thought so when I did the video, is the Switch 2 too expensive, 2 months ago. And I still believe that, but I don't think the Switch is overpriced by like $100 for example. Maybe more like $50. Regardless, I do think they will succeed. The question is how much? My gut tells me they pass 100 million again, but I don't think they surpass 150 million like the Switch 1 did. And the Switch 1 isn't stopping yet. Switch 1 could be 160 plus million eventually when it's all said and done, and that means it could beat the PlayStation 2's numbers. I'm way less sure about the Switch 2. But the industry and the market is unpredictable. It's hard to make predictions. So for all I know, the Switch 2 surprises us and outperforms the first one. And who knows what Nintendo will do throughout the generation to increase sales. It might even include some price drops if they feel the need to, and if they can do it, if it's feasible. Right now it's not, but who knows what can happen in 2-3 years. And who knows how big of an impact the theme parks and the movies and the merch will have on console sales. Time will tell the extent of all of this, but my gut tells me that they will do very well. Thank you for watching. As always, it means a lot, and I would love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments your opinions on Switch 2, your hopes and predictions for this generation, your favorite Switch 1 memories, and much more. And feel free to check out some of our other Nintendo related videos, like our many Donkey Kong videos we made this year, like Respect Donkey Kong, Respect Diddy Kong, David Weiss is a Genius, and the evolution of Donkey Kong, and even our more recent montages and tributes. We even have Nintendo related videos from over a decade ago here on this channel, like our Pilot Wings review from 2013, just to name one example. But there's tons more, and we have many playlists for your convenience when watching the oldies. And if you like Nintendo, video games in general, pop culture, nerd culture, if you're nostalgic and you love the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, etc., then this is your channel. Please consider subscribing, and I will see you all next time.